Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us in recognizing and celebrating the recipients of the 2020 and 2021 AT&T Awards. My name is Mike Zackham. I'm the Interim Director of Educational Technology at MSU, and I'll be your host for today's ceremony. During this ceremony, live captions are available. If you would like to show or hide the live transcript, you can do that at any time through the live transcript button in the bottom toolbar. Generously funded by AT&T, these annual awards recognize the innovative use of technology for teaching and learning by MSU educators and encourages the adoption and use of technology by the greater higher education community. In addition to celebrating the recipients of both the 2020 and 2021 AT&T Awards today, we'll hear from some of our current and past winners and also from some special guests. Each year, the AT&T Awards are given in 3 categories: Best Fully Online Course, Best Blended Course, and Best Enhanced Course. There is 1 winner and 1 honorable mention chosen in each category, and all award recipients will receive recognition as well as a physical award. Additionally, the winners in each category will receive a credit to spend towards professional development or to further the use of technology in their instruction. Finally, all award recipients will be featured on the AT&T Awards.msu.edu website. We would now like to share the following video to recognize all of our award recipients from 2020 and 2021.
The AT&T Awards recognizes educators who use technology to enhance teaching and learning at Michigan State University. MSUIT is proud to honor the following award recipients.
Congratulations to you all. You will each receive an engraved crystal sculpture. They have been set out and should arrive at your homes this week. Next, I would like to share a special message sent to us from Michigan State University's Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Teresa Woodruff.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to all of the award recipients being recognized today for your dedication to improving student engagement, to enhancing the student learning experience, and to enabling student success at Michigan State University. Your outstanding accomplishments are shining examples of your commitments to teaching and learning. Congratulations on achieving this level of excellence and earning university-wide recognition for your work. It's rewarding to gather, even if virtually, to celebrate, congratulate, and thank the outstanding recipients of this year's and last year's AT&T Faculty Staff Instructional Technology Awards. We find ourselves at the close of an academic year of unprecedented challenge and of unprecedented learning and innovation. The educators being honored today are not only proof of that learning and innovation, but exemplars. Educator and author George Couros once said, "Technology will never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of a great teacher can be transformational." The educators and courses being recognized today are no doubt transformational, and their wise and innovative use of technology clearly played a key role in contributing to that transformational power. While we all experienced new challenges this year, most of us also developed new tech skills, some of which we may never have acquired had we not been challenged in unique and unprecedented ways. The technology-enhanced learning innovations demonstrated by those being recognized today can and should serve as inspiration to all educators at MSU, especially during an academic year that was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. While the accomplishments of this year's honorees certainly set them apart as uniquely deserving of special praise, the work that all of our educators have accomplished in support of student success this year has impressed me at each turn. You have found ways to successfully deliver course content to students and provide steady guidance in remote learning environments. You build a foundation of grace and empathy into your classrooms, advising spaces, and support services for our students. Many of you stepped up to provide mental health and wellness support for students in ways that you never had before the pandemic, realizing the critical need for compassion and connection that existed when students were feeling isolated or adrift. You pivoted your work as the pandemic imposed restrictions and then progressively planned in ways that maintained MSU's commitments to academic excellence and student success, the twin pillars of our academic mission. For all of the visible and invisible work, the solitary hours at your desks and computers, the Zoom and team meetings, the office hours and class time, thank you. Your commitments to academic excellence and student success are seen and valued by this provost. As you listen to the remarks from the award winners being recognized today, I'm sure you will hear about new and exciting best practices in the use of technology to enhance teaching and learning, best practices to consider and perhaps even implement. In this way, the educators being honored today can inspire and catalyze excellence across our community of scholars. That multiplier effect can then serve to enhance the educational experiences of countless students across the university. So again, a hearty thank you and congratulations to those being honored today. Your outstanding contributions to the use and development of information technology for teaching and learning are appreciated and valued by me, by the Office of the Provost, and by Michigan State University and her students in whose interests we serve.
Thank you, Provost Woodruff. Next, I'd like to introduce the Executive Vice President for Administration and the CIO of MSU-IT, Dr. Melissa Wu.
Great, thank you, Mike. Technology is a core component of teaching and learning has never been more important than it is today. Flexible course modalities continue to improve teaching and learning experiences and will allow us as educators to successfully adapt to challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic. They'll also allow us as educators and learners to have more flexibility going forward and allow for more creativity. The AT&T Awards being presented today are organized by these modalities, each with a unique way of utilizing technology in the teaching and learning processes. As Mike mentioned earlier, here are our categories. Fully online, those are instructors who use technology to enhance effective teaching practices in online courses. Blended, instructors who provide instruction with online experiences in mixed online and in-person courses. And enhanced, instructors who enhance their tech classes using technology regardless of the course modality. Our award recipients exemplify the innovative mindset that we need to support pedagogy and the continuous enhancement of the educator and student experience. My sincerest congratulations to all of you. I look forward to seeing how your hard work continues to improve both our university and the higher education community at large.
Thank you, Melissa. At this point, it's time to hear from some of our 2021 recipients and let them share their personal stories about their award-winning courses. First, I would like to introduce Jason Smith, a 3-year faculty member from the College of Engineering. Jason is our 2021 Honorable Mention Award winner in the fully online course category for his Engineering 102 course, Introduction to Engineering Modeling. Jason?
All right, thank you very much, Michael. I want to begin by thanking AT&T, the MSU IT team, the judges, and everyone else who had a hand in putting these awards together. Of course, it's always really nice to be recognized for the work that you've done, and I know this might sound just a little bit trite, but I really do think it's even more wonderful to be in the presence, albeit virtually, of other people who share your passion for innovation and education. And at the risk of sounding obvious, all of us, faculty and students alike, have been through a great deal recently, a challenge that none of us ever asked for or anticipated, but a challenge that we had to do our best through nevertheless. And at the end of it, for better or worse, we all have a lot of stories to tell. I have a couple of funny ones if anybody's got some time. And that's why I'm really thankful for events like this. It gives us the chance to share our stories and to learn from one another and to grow through the challenges that we faced. My own abbreviated story started with a really big disappointment. The classes that I teach are both mass lectures, one that has about 100 students in it and the other has about 250. And when COVID sent us all online, I was put to the choice of lecturing live to hundreds of black squares with names on them or recording my videos. And given this choice, I decided to turn myself into what I like to think of as the world's next aspiring YouTuber, recording my lectures online in the way that I would actually normally give them if I were just in person. Now, I knew one of the benefits of this is that I'd be able to look at my watch statistics, how many people were watching my videos, for how long, when did they jump on, when did they jump off. And as an engineer and an academic, I really just couldn't resist the allure of all that data. My big disappointment, however, was looking at that data for the first time, because what I found was, and this might not surprise anybody here, what I found was that about 90% of my class would inevitably watch the first 3 to 5 minutes of my video, then begin skipping to places where I was talking about answers to homework questions. And in short, the feeling that I got was that my lectures were basically turning into digital Easter egg hunts. Now, there's a really big ego hit when you find out that the words that you're speaking, you think have importance, but at the end of the day, to your audience, they're really just bushes in the way of finding those all-important Easter eggs. I mean, homework points. It was enough of an ego hit that it actually caused me to reinvestigate and reflect on everything that I was doing. And the epiphany that I had was that I think students engage differently with material online, in part because they have very different expectations of the content that you're viewing. If you think about it, for any of us listening to somebody in person, we're conditioned to give them some grace if they aren't perfect with their words, because it's what we're conditioned to expect when we're dealing with somebody who's in person. And of course, the trade-off is going to be that you get a more personalized and interactive experience. Different if you're sitting down to watch a video, because most of us are conditioned to expect something much more grand, much more highly produced, and without a doubt, a whole lot more entertaining, because that's what we see whenever we flip on the TV or YouTube. We expect what comes out of the computer to be highly produced and highly pleasing. So I decided rather than to fight this, I'd play into it. I reflected on what it was that I liked about great online content and tried to bring it into the classroom. Over the summer, I taught myself video editing and animation to spice up my videos. I scripted everything that I did, cut out a ton of filler inside of my lectures, breaking them down from 1-hour speeches into 20 or 30-minute block videos that were very information dense. I incorporated written response breaks into my videos, and I even changed my classroom textbook over so that it itself was interactive and online. And all the while I was tracking my engagement rate using the same tools that I had at the beginning, iteratively making changes to see that if I could keep students' interest level up and those eyeballs on the content. I also learned a lot about my own speaking style through all of this, because let me tell you, there's no time you'll ever find yourself more annoying than when you spend hundreds of hours watching yourself on loop in the editing process. But the good news is through all of this, that in the end, looking at my class surveys at the end of the last year, I can honestly say that my students have never responded so well to my content. They feel like they're getting more out of my classes, empirically so, and now I'm actually hooked on this process. I plan to use the funds that I get from this award to hopefully broaden my editing capabilities and my online content creating abilities while I perfect this craft of online content delivery. Again, I want to thank MSU and AT&T for supporting me and giving me the chance to share my experience. And I hope if you have a story to share or questions to ask, you'll look me up, because I truly believe if there's any chance for any good to come out of the trials of the past year, it's through sharing stories with one another. Thank you very much. And I look forward to hearing all of your stories.
Thank you, Jason. Next, I would like to introduce Eva Cassin. Eva has been teaching at MSU since 2009. She's our 2021 Honorable Mention Award winner in the Enhanced category for her UP-CE 878 Autonomous Futures course. Eva?
Thank you very much. So first off, I would like to thank wholeheartedly all my students who literally played with me the game of using technology to really understand what it can and cannot do. And so I started since 2009. I was really interested in teaching, jumped from one country to another country over several disciplines and trying to understand how different students from different disciplines learn, how you can combine them, how they work together. And so with this particular class, I actually really integrated what it means to learn with artificial intelligence, such as autonomous vehicles, that is a technology that it has yet to come, and domotics, by which we mean everything that you use in the house, like echo dots, cameras, and how do students learn with it between those two technologies. And so one of the things I absolutely wanted to explore was, how do we get them to understand what it means to actually work with that technology over time? And how does it work between each other? I cannot share my screen anymore. Thank you. Teaching with technology per se is for me something that is essential to how we educate our students for the future. So for me, students will implement technology in our future that we don't even know that exists yet. So what was really important for me is to understanding, how do I teach those students the types of questions they need to ask to make these new technology introductions more sustainable, more equitable, and more just than what has happened in the past. And in order to do so, can you please advance the slide? I wanted to foster a very intrinsic motivation to learn. So enjoying the learning process was for me essentially important. And as you can see here, this is a picture of my students while they are learning. I wanted to develop knowledge in them, skills, values, and specifically a state of mind, how they would advance in their learning. And based on what I wanted to do with my research, I grouped them in two different learning modules. One was learning with a technology that doesn't yet exist, so meaning autonomous vehicles. So one part of the class, I basically asked them to play hypothetically scenarios what would happen if? So instead of sitting in the classroom and lecturing, I put all my online content up front and asked them to watch my videos, instructional videos, so all the content I needed to master. During the class time, we went outside and wrote different transportation systems, being that it is not yet autonomous, but they should play hypothetical scenarios. What if? What if this bus was autonomous? What if this Uber, as you can see here, what if it was autonomous? What would you do? What wouldn't you do? How would you feel? What would you learn? What would you expect? We communicated with different groups over Twitter. So I was always informed what we were thinking. They were given Twitter prompts. That was basically the first part of my class, helping them understand what the hypothetical scenario would do, what we pretty much teach right now. Then I moved on to asking them, what would you do if you can actually work with the technology? And for that, I asked them to work with Echo Dot's cameras, drones, and Temi. Temi is a personal robot. And each of them received a technology to work with and solve problems with them. So while they were in the first part learning to think hypothetically, the second part taught them really hands-on experiences with new technology to understand what it was capable of and what it wasn't capable of. So in order for them to find the differences, I also had diagnostics implemented to start tracking their learning process, their research process. And we basically found that the moment these students started learning outside the classroom with real technology, they were much more prone to identifying challenges, identifying sustainability problems, identifying just issues that came with these technologies. Might be as simple as voice recognition or face recognition, but it started to grow into their state of minds that using these technologies with a very keen eye on what can they do in the future, how do they work, really help them understand how to implement those in the future as the goal of this class. I thank everyone for allowing me to do this, especially the hub at MSU, who actually originally funded that research. I feel deeply, deeply honored to be chosen as one of the recipients here. And I think all the evaluators, everyone who worked on this entire process of selecting, and all above, of course, our students who went through a very tough pandemic and have impressed me beyond anyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Our next speaker is John Spink. John teaches in the Broad College of Business and is our 2021 Honorable Mention Award winner in the blended course category. John has been teaching at MSU for 16 years and is a fourth generation Spartan. He's going to speak about his award-winning Supply Chain Management 303 course. John?
Thank you. It's been interesting to think through the whole process of this award and what we're talking about and the challenge we've had over the years. And as mentioned in my bio, I'm a fourth generation Spartan. So my dad, my grandmother, and my great-grandfather back when I was teaching college. So I have a long history there. I'm actually a second generation MSU faculty member. My father was botany and osteopathic medicine, and I'm a third generation Big Ten faculty member. My great aunt, Florence Taylor, was the first female full professor at Penn State. So I feel like I've got some, I don't know, it's maybe some of this is in my blood a bit of MSU and teaching as well. It's been really fascinating to look at a lot of the different teaching that we do. I'm going to take a little different approach and talk about, I guess, some of the experiences over this last year and the adaptation of the class. You know, I think this pivot online was really a great opportunity for evolution. And Dr. Wu mentioned that as well as the provost. And really it's change required by stress. And that's how humans, and there's evolution based under stress, really for all of us. But to think about, you know, we looked a lot at how we were trying to deliver from our end and kind of looking through the looking glass at the student. But I teach 750 students a semester in usually 2 sections. So I have a lot of students. I probably had almost every experience that's possible with students. I think at the beginning to look at things like stress. So it was great to be interacting one-on-one to understand where they're coming from first, and then try to figure out how we adapt to them. I mean, saying grace and flexibility is one thing, but trying to understand it. And to understand their end of it, I had, for the example of this type of stress, I had a student that moved back home with family in Louisiana, and there were hurricanes that came through. So power was out for days while we had an exam coming up. And so she needed a little bit of time so she could get to a McDonald's to take her exam in a McDonald's to get Wi-Fi and electricity. So the amount of stress and effort there was, really astronomical of what people went through. And then something I realized that I've looked at from the start is kind of an idea of optimize, not maximize. And I really thank the resources we had to look at the reverse design of courses. I mean, I've done that before, but really basing on key learning objectives. And as we went online to really look at, assurance of learning, what are those key points that I need to have the students learn to go to the next supply chain class, or if they're going to other business classes, and to focus back on that led a real efficiency in refining what we did. Again, not doing more, but trying to be more effective with that. And really not trying to overwhelm the students with just lots of content, but details. It's something I like to kind of mention maybe to the administration a bit is looking at, students are taking up to 18 credits now. That's a lot. And most of the courses were developed originally for 12 to 15 credit load back when we were all there. And if we say it's 2 to 3 hours of homework a class and plus lectures, that's 72 hours a week. That's over 10 hours a day of work to meet those classes. That's not even going to and from class, and if they have a job on top of that. So that led me to really focus back, especially when students had to go home and take care of family members or not being on campus, out of their routines, to look at the key learning objectives and go back to that. And so separately, I'd like to just bring up that point of something for us to consider about the load of the time on the students as something that, whether we're in person or we're away, is something to really consider. And then third point that I'll really hit on is well, it's the E and the I of DEI. So there's a lot of things that we're looking at across the university, specifically with a large class like I have. It's very standard content, but I really did focus on the E and the I, the equity and the inclusion. And for me, the equity was really at the very beginning, making the choice to go to asynchronous. And it really, that was so students could access the information anytime throughout the week and download it in chunks. Again, my students are sitting at McDonald's when the power's out at home, finding a way to get there. That's phenomenal, the level of effort. But other people just didn't have Wi-Fi at home in general, or other types of inclusion. If they're on campus, they could come to the computer centers and get access there, but they didn't have that. And then inclusion. And that's a wide range of issues. We think of that maybe only as captions, but it's really also sensitivity to time zones, and having a lot of things like even office hours accessible in evenings or days. And beyond captions, it's one thing that I did extra is really go to have all the images have alternate text, or more specifically for audio, that I'm explaining every image. What I realized in hindsight that did is not just meet inclusion, but it helped us become a podcast, not a lecture. And so another student I had was still living in Lansing because he had to work, but every day he was going down to Detroit to take care of his grandmother. It's about a 2.5 or about a 1.5 hour drive. So what I realized later, as we were talking about his challenges, he actually started listening to the videos while he's driving in the car because he didn't have to look at the screen. So with this bit of inclusion becoming to podcasts, there was really an unintended benefit where the student could then listen to that while driving. So there's a lot of these things that we really haven't considered. I think there's bigger pictures, but really a big key is finding a way to take these ideas like the equity, inclusion, online, synchronous activity, things like that, accessibility, key learning objectives, and really applying it and finding some examples with that. And I'm really pleased all the people that were able to help me do that, and specifically then the students who shared their problems so that I could figure out how to adapt to them. So thank you, everybody, and I look forward anytime. Would love to talk to anybody.
Thank you, John. Our 2021 winner in the hybrid blended course category, Antoinette Tessmer, is next. Antoinette has been teaching at MSU for 22 years. Her winning course, Financial Modeling F1355, is noteworthy for being the only fully flipped course in the finance department of the Broad College of Business. Antoinette?
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, AT&T and the MSU IT team for recognizing our course. I actually share this award with my co-faculty leader, Alex Arifin. And what I would like to, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the group. And believe it or not, I am going to take a different angle than my colleagues took. I would like to recognize the human interactions that we have not in the classroom for 2021, but on Zoom. So I would like to acknowledge the outstanding contribution of our group of learning assistants who helped students succeed in academic year 2021. Our course is 100% flipped, as Michael explained, and as such, the contribution of learning assistant is essential to the student success. So you have in front of you 8 individuals. 6 of them are undergraduate students majoring in finance. 2 of them are graduate students in business administration and finance, a very diverse group of individuals who enhance their financial modeling expertise to be ready to help students when needed. And when needed is all through class time. So they attend class to help students complete activities in groups. And without their presence in the classroom, whether it's face-to-face or on Zoom, a flipped course cannot succeed. The AT&T Award will allow Alex and I to potentially hire a couple of extra learning assistants for academic year 21-22. That will allow us to reduce the group size in which students collaborate in the classroom, as we observe that student success is greatly enhanced when students work in groups of smaller size, such as 2 or 3 students, instead of the typical 4 or 5 students group that we use in a normal academic year. So thank you, AT&T Award, to allow us to improve the classroom environment for our 100% flipped course.
Thank you, Antoinette. We are now going to hear from our 2020 AT&T Award recipients to discover how this award impacted their courses. First up is Rachel Bernard. Rachel partnered with Ryan Sweeter to win last year's honorable mention for Best Enhanced Course for LB 171, a general chemistry course offered in the Lyman Briggs College at MSU. Rachel?
Thank you. Indeed, as a 2020 winner, I had to go back in time and think about what did we do pre-pandemic, because it's been a while. But we teach this general chemistry course. Ryan is here on the call somewhere with me. So hi, Ryan. And in this chemistry course, we did use technology to enhance our course. So this was an in-person lecture in the before times, an active lecture. And it's about 100 students in the classroom at a time. And so we really used technology to enhance the work that we were doing. So one way that we enhanced that work was using technology to give formative feedback for students about the scientific practice of scientific explanations and of modeling. And so we used technology to sort of have students work on that work outside of class, and then we can revisit that when we come back to class so they can dig into those difficult topics and get some feedback on their work as well. And if anyone has ever written and given an exam, there's this perennial instructor feeling that students don't ever read the feedback that you spend all this hard time giving. And so we actually broke this giving exam feedback to students into 2 stages, where they get their number feedback on their exam, but not the specific feedback. And then there's an intentional event where they can discuss with each other what's going on there and a better answer for their work. And then we give them the detailed feedback. And so both of these technologies were really helpful to enhance the work we were doing to embed evidence-based practices in our courses. And you can see the citations at the bottom if you're curious about sort of how we use these technologies and students' perspective on the use of them as well. Now this was from the before time. So as you can imagine, a lot has changed in these courses, but these technologies were really helpful foundation for thinking about how we can meet our learning goals and work with students in really creative and flexible ways. And those skills were really helpful during the pandemic. So I think Ryan and I both used our award money to buy parts or whole of an iPad. And that was really, really useful as we try to teach these lectures online as well. So thank you to AT&T. This is a wonderful group to be a part of. Really thankful for the award and glad to be here with you today.
Thank you, Rachel. Finally, I would like to introduce last year's Honorable Mention Award winner in the Blended Course category, Judith Whipple. Judith won the award for her CSM 870 Introduction to Supply Chain Management course in our Masters of Science in Supply Chain Management program. Judith?
Thank you, Michael. So again, I just want to say that being, receiving the honorable mention in 2020 for teaching the blended course was really a true honor. And I appreciate the opportunity to be considered and the financial support that came from the award. I have taught blended courses previously in our Masters of Science program. And one of the things I talked about in the award was really sort of rethinking how to structure the course in terms of, really bifurcating the recorded material so that it really wasn't, because we use a third party to help us create those videos, to make sure that that material was really the sort of stable foundational material, and then using the online live portion to be talking about, recent topics and engaging in, some of the latest things happening in supply chain. One of the things I was able to do is over this last year, with the transition to online during COVID, is use that same philosophy in structuring my online courses. So in the spring, I taught a blended course that had some, would have been in person, but I took the decision to have a mix of synchronous and asynchronous aspects. And so, as I talked about in my application for the award, I used that same bifurcating approach. So my asynchronous material was that sort of relatively stable, sort of theoretical models, frameworks, definitional content. And I created short videos, no more than 5 to 10 minutes, covering PowerPoint materials. I used outside videos, companies' examples, etc. And then I also put in some mixed media. So it might be short written or short audio content. And then, that really allowed the students to rewatch that material as often as they needed. And feedback from students, particularly international students, as well as students with no prior experience in supply chain, really enjoyed having those sort of shorter buckets of material that they could go back to as they were preparing for quizzes and exams. Then in the synchronous sessions, that's where we really had more sort of hands-on discussion. So I would cover one day sort of the foundational topics and definitions, and then the next day that would be asynchronous. And then the one time during the week when we met synchronously, that's where we would be doing more sort of hands-on discussion of that asynchronous material. And I really enjoyed using the Zoom breakout rooms, where I created really for each week kind of a mini case or a discussion of some sort, maybe a Wall Street Journal article, maybe a company video that we would sort of talk a little bit about together in class, and then I would send them into the breakout rooms and they would discuss those issues. And I made sure every time to randomize breakout rooms so the students got a chance to meet each other and build a network that way. And then I used D2L's survey feature to create discussion questions that the students could answer in those breakout rooms. And then that helped me from a grading and a participation consideration standpoint. Everything was recorded, even the synchronous sessions, without recording the breakout room time. So they didn't have large chunks to have to forward through. And the students also talked about kind of what John Spink mentioned. I had everything transcribed. So the students also enjoyed not only being able to listen to things audio instead of necessarily the video, but also to be able to print the transcribed copy as well. I really want to thank AT&T, MSU IT for the financial support from this award. One of the things I was able to do in the pivot to remote teaching from home was to purchase some resources that would help my remote teaching feel more like on-campus teaching. And so one of the things in particular I purchased was a whiteboard. I do a lot of, particularly in those synchronous hands-on sessions, a lot of whiteboard writing. And so I was able to have that and a dot camera so that it wasn't death by PowerPoint, but we could actually feel like we were in person, and a better microphone, camera, some other things to improve the quality of the online material, online discussion piece as well. In fact, students in my fall class told me that I was the only faculty that semester that had a whiteboard, and how much that made it feel we could sort of have some creative space to, you know, kind of talk about something and draw it out and look at it visually as opposed to just a PowerPoint. So again, I really appreciate the award. I appreciate the financial support. Again, I want to thank the program, AT&T and MSU IT for making this award available and possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Judith. I'd like to extend a big thank you to all of the award recipients who spoke today. We appreciate you taking the time and sharing the great work you've been doing. I would also like to say congratulations again to all of the award recipients from 2020 and 2021. We're honored to highlight your achievements and recognize technology's role in enhancing teaching and learning. As I stated earlier, all of these recipients and information about their award-winning courses can be found on atttawards.msu.edu. The website will also be used to collect entries for 2022 AT&T Awards when the nomination process goes live later this fall. Finally, a recording of this ceremony will be posted on the site in the days to come. We want to express our gratitude to Provost Woodruff, Executive Vice President for Administration and CIO Melissa Wu, and to all of the deans, directors, chairs, and colleagues who have given your support to these recipients and towards advancing teaching and learning here at Michigan State. It is through all of your tireless efforts that we provide outstanding undergraduate, graduate, and professional education. Congratulations to our award recipients, and thank you to all those who joined us today to celebrate the 2020 and 2021 AT&T Awards.